In February 25, 1957, a body of a boy was found in a box in an illegal dumping ground near Bury Road in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
The boy was estimated to be around 4 to 6 years old, 30 pounds, 3 feet, and 3 inches.
In the box, the boy was found naked, wrapped in a blanket. His hair showed to be recently cut and his body washed clean. There were scars on his chin, groin, and left ankle. However, it was his head injuries that were the cause of death.
Mysteriously, there are no witnesses.
The body was found by a young man walking through an abandoned lot. The man waited a full day before calling the police.
Later, it was known another man found the body first, but didn't contact police because didn't want to get involved.
Due to the cold weather and the man who waited a day to call, it wasn't possible to accurately estimate the time of death.
Visitors from 10 different states came to recognize the body, but no one did. 400,000 flyers were produced of pictures of the boys and sent out across the country, but no one recognized the boy.
With the little evidence they had, detectives traced the box to a J.C. Penney's 15 miles away from the abandoned lot. It was then discovered that the box originally carried a bassinet. Eerily enough, when detectives traced the buyers of these bassinets, they were all paid in cash, leading detectives to a dead end.
Following the trail of another piece of evidence found near the box,
a hat was found by detectives labeled Eagle Hat and Cap Company, made in South Philadelphia. When the owner of the store stated that the man who bought this cap paid in cash and she never saw him again, it once again led detectives to a dead end. Detectives attempted to trace the makers of the blanket the boy was found in, but due to its mass production, it was impossible to find who the blanket belonged to. David Roberts led the investigation alongside Remington Bristow, who worked on the case for over 36 years, determined to find who the unknown boy was. Since there are no eyewitnesses,
finding the truth relied on the detectives themselves.
As much as an eyewitness is helpful, the memory can be warped from stress or anxiety or reconstructive memory of the eyewitnesses witnessing the crime. In this particular case, detectives don't have to worry about inaccurate memory.
It can be assumed that by observation, the man who called in saying they found the box, or the man who owned the cap, could be the killer of the boy. But it is important in a case to not jump to conclusions.
In order to make a good observation, one needs to be open-minded and take in consideration every single possibility. If the detectives jump to conclusions, they might leave behind important details. Our brain has the tendency to fill out information or fill in information to get to the conclusion that we want. At a crime scene, detectives must consider Locard's exchange principle. Locard's exchange principle states that the person who committed the crime will bring something into the crime scene and leave with something from it, and that both can be used as forensic evidence. In this case, some of the evidence that the potential killer brought into the crime scene are the bruises left on the boy's head and possibly the cap. When inspecting a crime scene, detectives also must know the difference between circumstantial and direct evidence. Circumstantial evidence can narrow down a suspect, such as hair, fingerprints, or blood. Direct evidence can be an eyewitness or a picture that was taken on the scene, such as a video showing the murderer doing something suspicious. In this particularly mysterious case, there are no direct evidence. The only circumstantial evidence found was pieces of the boy's hair on the boy's body. But even this evidence did not lead to the suspect.
When searching for the body, it would make the most sense for police to use
the line and strip method for searching for evidence, since it's in an outdoor space in a big wide open area. We can thank Alphonse Bertillon for his discoveries of creating the first system of physical measurements and photography for police to use to identify victims by measurement of the head, body, and shape form. His discoveries were responsible for the photograph of the boy in the box used to attempt to identify him, along with the measurements of his head, his body, and his injuries. Unfortunately, the body was never identified. However, one theory is a potential witness known as Martha, a psychiatric patient from Cincinnati, claims she remembers her mother taking her to hand an envelope in exchange for a boy. Martha claims she was sexually abused by her mother, and her mother wanted to do the same to the boy. This boy she is referring to would be the boy in the box. Martha says her mother beat the boy to death after struggling to bathe him, which would explain the giant bruises found on the boy's head and the boy's clean condition. Martha said her mother drove Martha and the boy to Philadelphia to abandon him. All three original investigators were convinced by her stories. Her testimonies, addresses, and description all add up. However, due to her later confession and unstable mental condition, her story was not confirmed. To this day, the case is unsolved. No one knows who the boy in the box is, or what exactly happened to him. The boy in the box was named America's Unknown Child. Every day, visitors come to visit the tombstone left in memory of the boy in the box.